Guys, I'm on my 4 days off. I'm on my last day, and I'm gonna start a newer schedule. I didn't realize this, but my brother's not here. Like, he's out west, and my mom just lives alone, so she gets me to come out every time I'm on my 4 days off. We eat supper, we have a good time. So every time I go out to see her, I gotta drive out. It's like, about a 20-minute drive. It's not that long. But it's a good time for me to catch up on my YouTube so I can start getting into the habit, because I have a ton of YouTubes. I always have a shitload of YouTubes of, shit I want to do, and I never remember to do it or get lazy. It's fucking awful. So I got my iPhone in my hand but lying on my steering wheel. Let's see if I can rig this up better. And it's going to be really wobbly, so if you're one of those guys or girls that gets motion sickness, maybe just listen. Let's see if I can rig this up better. This is going to work. Alright, so anyway, I did a video on confidence, and I've noticed a humongous difference. There's a lot of things. As you get older, I don't know if it's you get smarter, or you're better at sifting through information, or you just notice things you didn't notice. It's really weird, because life as you get older is, on a brain level, is more about refinement. Like, all of a sudden you're taking what you thought was an issue where, I hate that. And then you learn to take a razor blade and cut it into slivers and say, okay, well, this part of it I don't mind, this part annoys me, this part I've accepted, this part I still hate. Like, you really learn to break things down. So that's why when I'm talking with my roommate, she's younger than I am, she doesn't think like I do, of course. She doesn't think critically or analytically. So she'll get annoyed at me because she thinks I'm just talking down to her. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm 10 years older. That's 10 extra years of sifting through subjects that I thought I was done with, and then refining them, or immediately saying, nope, I'm done with this subject, there's no more refinement. And she'll just, you're so close-minded. I'm like, no, I'm not close-minded. I've thought about this issue a million times. I've changed my mind a few times, but overall, I don't think I'm ever going to change my mind on this one issue. So it's like, I explained it to her the way Patrice did. He's a comedian. His woman was 10 years younger than him, and he'll tell her stuff and she'll roll her eyes. And he's like, I'm, 35, you're 25. Imagine if you explained something to a 15-year-old and they just rolled their eyes at you. Wouldn't you want to just fucking punch them in the face? Like, fuck you, I know more than you. So Louis C.K. said it best too. He's like, even if I'm wrong, I am more right in my wrongness because I have more information backing it, and more intelligence and more life experience. It's not exactly true, but you get the point. I mean, anyway, I was going to do a video on human perception, because it's one of these things that it has a lot of logical fallacy, and I learned from my own logical fallacies. That's why I do this type of thinking, where, for example, somebody will think of the size of the universe, and I did this for a long fucking time, and you get scared because you think of how big the universe is, and you think the universe is so big it makes you insignificant. But that's a logical human fallacy that you don't need to think, because a lot of the times you get afraid or you get angry, it's at your own logical shortcomings. So you'll have, say for instance, I'm Irish, right? I'll use Irish as an example. You meet a couple of Irish guys, and you've only met a couple, and they've both been fucking drunken assholes, and they beat you up. It's a logical fallacy to think all Irish people are drunken assholes. But you wouldn't be that far off to think that, But there's the same thing with companies. Someone will deal with a company, have two bad experiences, and just throw the whole company in the garbage, but they don't realize it's not the company's policy if you get shitty service one day. It's that asshole's problem. And even if you get shitty service like 10 times in a row, it's still not the company. I'm not defending companies. I fucking hate companies. But I'm just saying, if the company had their way, there would be no bad customer service. Everything would go perfectly. They'd meet all your needs and do everything to the best of their abilities. You wouldn't get somebody like me who's on the phone, who you get snippy with me and I immediately turn it back on you and say, go fuck yourself, because you ask me for something nice that I'm not able to do, more than likely I'll fucking do it. If you're being a cocksucker for 64 cents on your cell phone bill, I'll tell you to fuck yourself. That kind of thing. But anyway, just because the universe is humongous doesn't mean you're insignificant. This is something that I've had to come up with, because it just kept bothering me over and over. Like, when you're a kid, you just think of space. It's space, no big deal. You think of a planet, it's this distance. But then you get older and you really start to understand how big the Earth is. I mean, in space terms, it's not big at all, but as far as compared to you, it's fucking huge. But all it is a series of environments. Like, I look around my environment right now. I'm on Main Street, and I can't see that far. It was just some buildings. This is my environment right now. it's just an endless amount of these environments. So you don't have to scare yourself like I have been doing for my whole life. It's like this gigantic space cloud in space that our solar system can fit into 1,000,000 times is just one big ball of gas. Doesn't matter how big it is, it's just big. Whether it's slightly bigger than you are or a zillion times bigger than you are, it doesn't matter. And the only reason I scare myself is because of my own logical fallacies, where I can't take myself into the mix. It's like, we'll try to think logically about how animals do their thing. Like, how can a wolf just kill a baby lamb like that? They don't. Like, we're putting our own morals and our own thought processes into something that has no logical reason other than evolution made it this way. You know, survival of the fittest. And if you think about it, logic can be irrational, logic can be off, logic can have mistakes. But when you have evolution telling you to do something, that's actually pretty pure logic. I'm hungry, my family needs to eat. I kill this huge human baby, rip its fucking head off and feed my family and feel no guilt about it afterwards. So human morality is another thing. Like, I like morality, and the only reason is, and this is something that I don't ever hear, but I should hear. The only reason I'm very big on I don't want to hurt others is because I don't want them to hurt me. That's it. And, you know, honestly, I do want the best for everybody. I wish everybody could have a house, could have, like, a good paying job, all this other shit. But that's not how life is, so you just got to kind of make the best of it. And another thing is, well, worry about these faraway places that have been just war-torn for centuries. And we'll complain about our jobs here, and I'm like, you realize I don't have to worry about mortar fire. Ooh, she's got a nice big bum on her. We don't have to worry about mortar fire. We don't have to worry about my kid. You know, I don't have any kids, but if my kids were playing in a field, they're not going to accidentally step on a fucking Vietnam-era, you know, mine and get a leg blown off, or they're not going to get some kind of fucking exotic disease, or... We have it really easy here comparatively. Even somebody who's fucking on welfare, dirt poor, still has it pretty good, because you still... Like, I knew this guy I worked with at AOL. He's this older Jewish guy. Very, you know, he wore the yarmulke and everything. Very nice guy. Fucking hilarious. He has a very big house between him and, I think, his mom. And he had this Jewish family come from Jerusalem, and they were like, how many families live here? He's like, it's just me and my mom. And they were speechless. Like, they couldn't comprehend that we had so much room here. It's like, you know, you don't have 10 families living here? Really? So it's like, based on your environment is how you perceive the world, which is silly because, you know, I'm not from the street. I understand a lot of things that happen in the street, and I have just basic street smarts, and I'm very lucky, and I'm not a guy who attracts violence. So for me, I get by very well without having to learn anything. Like, I really do. I walk down, there's fucking these thug-looking guys that just look at me and say, hey, what's up? They're not, I don't know why, I just don't attract violence, except, well, that one time I got struck a punch in the face. That guy was just a dickhead anyway. But, the way we perceive things is based on your experience and your environment. I mean, you could get somebody who's a hardened thug from Detroit come up here, and he'll just not even know how to cope here, because everybody in, like, if you know anything about Canada, very friendly place. And Maritimes, even amongst friendly Canada, is still even more friendly. If you're struggling, like if you're carrying a box, somebody will help you. It's crazy. You drop your wallet more often than not. If somebody sees you drop it, they'll pick it up and give it to you. Very friendly place to live. But then you put me in a place like fucking, I don't know, Detroit, and I'd probably get killed just because I wouldn't know the you know? So my logical fallacies are I just don't have the experience of growing. I'm just fucking rambling, aren't I? This whole thing was to be where somebody will say, I had a perfect example too. Like, being Asperger, one of the revelations I just had is, as a, like, you know, the human mind's always looking for patterns, right? So, kid with Asperger's, the reason we fuck up so much is because we have a perceived notion of what reality should be like and how reality should behave based on what I do. Like, you know, the sink is leaking. Well, why don't I just wrap this around it? Problem solved. And then you find you've not only maybe not fixed it, but made it worse because I have severe problems with common, a lot of common sense with me has been a repeated... I've had to learn things repeatedly to get common sense. I just didn't have it, you know, because, well, Asperger's, it makes you fucking, it's not like high-functioning autism. Then there's other things I fucking blow the doors off, and other people are like, how the fuck do you do that? Well, I didn't realize I had to put my supper in the fridge. It sat on the fucking stove for 4 days, and I went to eat it, and I went, ooh, this looks weird. It started to rot, and I just didn't, what? But anyway, yeah, it's like, I'm trying to think of this one example I had. It was perfect. It was like, about how we'll think about science or philosophy, and we can't come up with answers. Oh, like the whole death thing. Like a human mind, maybe somebody has come up with the answer, whether it's just there's nothing or there's something, or what, if there is a something, what is it? If there's a God, if there's not a God, like there's a trillion different things that could be happening in the background. This could all just be a video game. You know, everything in reality could just be here based out of my imagination, but reality and my imagination are so powerful, when I hit something, my hand gets stopped by it. You know, that could Matrix type shit. It could be anything, but the human mind is only set up to think in very specific ways, so the guys that come up with the breakthroughs are those guys that are literally crazy. Like, I'm sure, maybe, I don't know about Einstein that much, but I understood he was a real player. Like, apparently he said he's fucking all these different women, and he said, you know, I can't promise I'm going to be monogamous. I'm just not. But it makes me wonder, on a personality level, like, was he like a normal guy, or was he, you know, like fucked up? But it's the guys that are really fucking out there that come up with these concepts that you're like, a normal thinking human being would never have come up with this concept, because we just think so linear, you know? So yeah, fucking short story long today. I'm just really jumbled. I've been fucking, on my days off, we beat a record at the box factory. We got 181,000 boxes in a shift, which is ridiculous. And nobody's going to beat that record. Like, we had everything lined up, perfect sized order came in, all small boxes, all easy to move, and I could just sit there and feed the machine forever. So we got this huge record. My forearms are killing me. All I wanted to do for 4 days is lie in bed, which I did, play the fuck out of Diablo 3 and have some beers. That's it. So yeah, I am going to do more videos, but I just, if I can think of the fucking example I had, I thought it was death, how nobody can really figure out what it is. There's a bunch of other things, like why space acts the way it does, because it's not something that we're ever supposed to know. Like, maybe we'll have a computer that'll figure out, or, you know, somebody that's really crazy autistic will figure it out. But it's something that's going to exist, and whether we know exactly how space works, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't. It's only important to know how space works as far as, say, if you find a wormhole or something like that, then you got to know where you're going to end up, what's the pressure, all that shit. Other than that, though, we don't need to know exactly what dark matter is. We just need to know it's there. Like, if you run into it, what's going to happen? I don't know. I know how my car works on a basic level. I don't know all the fucking different parts and everything. You think I need to know? Not really. You know, it would be nice if I ever get broken down, but, you know, maybe if this was an older car, you could fit it with a fucking, you could gap something with a matchbook and a fucking paper clip and get home, but newer cars, you just can't do that. Maybe if I was a fucking mechanic, I could at least identify the problem and say, oh, I just need this one part. But literally, most people don't need to know how their fucking car works, and, you know, don't really look it up, because it's not important. Like, I love learning extra new things, don't get me wrong, but, you know, they're talking about, they still don't understand how, when you skate on ice, what exactly happens on a science level. It's, you know, to me, that's something you don't really have to figure out. I mean, it'd be nice if you could write a formula and say, here's what happens, but then you got the formula, then what? You don't, it's not like you're going to have all these fucking breakthroughs, new skating technology, you know? Yeah, I'm just a rambling mess today. Sorry, guys. Like, just no ADHD medication, just drinking beer, playing video games to my fucking bloody content, listening to Opie and Anthony, that kind of thing. So I am going to do more videos. I want to do one on Patrice O'Neal, because he's fucking, I fucking went on a Patrice O'Neal rampage. Just listened to every fucking minute he's ever done of anything, and I fucking love the guy. So anyway, just, the human mind isn't set up to be able to figure out certain things, and our own, the whole point is our own logical fallacies and preconceived notions and stuff stop us from having the creativity to step outside of our heads and really see reality how it is, because nobody can see reality how it is. We all have things that taint our perception and preconceived notions, and just, you know, little blocks of information that are missing that would make more sense, kind of thing. So anyway, I'm going to upload more.